Hi, and welcome to another episode of In Craig's Corner. Today I'm going to cover the Gospel readings for the fourth Sunday of Lent in the Roman Catholic liturgy. Uh, like I mentioned last time, the Gospel reading is a little too long for us, so I'm just going to kind of quote from it instead of reading the whole thing. But you can find the reading from the Holy Gospel according to John, chapter 9, verses 1 through 41. Now this is the miracle story of the blind beggar who's sitting on the side of the road, and Jesus comes along and asks him what's troubling him, and he says, well, I've been blind since birth. And he says, well, he turns to his disciples and is telling about how people who are blind are going to see because he comes into the light. He comes into the world because he's the light of the world. And there's going to be a day when the entire world is in darkness, but today, when Christ is present for us, then the people around him can see. So he spats on the ground and rubs the spittle into the dirt, makes some clay, and then rubs it on the man's eyelids. And he says, go to this pool and wash, and you will see. Then the man does what Jesus says, goes and washes, and his eyes are opened, he can finally see again, and he goes and he tells the Pharisees and says, look, I've been cured. And they start to question, how were you cured? What happened? And he said, well, Jesus of Nazareth came along and cured me. And they asked how, and he said, well, he did the whole spit with the clay thing. They're like, well, where is he now? And he says, well, I don't know. And he says, okay, well, Jesus is operating on the Sabbath, right? And the guy says, yeah, he cured me. And he said, well, a person who is a sinner cannot work through, God cannot work through a sinner. And somebody who works on the Sabbath or, does things on the Sabbath of this nature is a sinner. So really, this guy, you have to be lying. You can't, not like you weren't blind or something like that. There's got to be another explanation. So they went and found his parents and said, is this your son? Yes. And has he been blind since birth? Yes. It's like, oh, okay, well, are you lying or is he lying? Because Jesus could not have saved him. It keeps going back to the thing where Jesus is a sinner, God can't act through sinners, so you guys must be making it up. The man is expelled from the synagogue for lying, for making up this miracle and saying that Jesus was a prophet. Jesus hears of this and goes and finds the now ex-blind man and says, what happened? And he said, well, I was kicked out from the synagogue. And Jesus says, well, I have come into the world so that the blind may see and those that see may go blind. This is a very interesting passage, and I think that it's probably the apex of the gospel reading for this Sunday. What does it mean to be blind, and what does it mean to see? The blind man spent his entire life without being able to see out, which means the only thing he could do was see in. And he makes several references during the gospel reading. Well, I don't know about that guy. I only know about me. I don't know about Jesus being a sinner. I only know about me. I don't know about my parents. I only know about me. The parents that came along and were supposed to vouch for the blind man said, we don't want to answer. He's of age. Ask him, saying, we don't know about him. He knows about him, so you have to ask him. This is very important for us because I believe this is the attitude that we need to take with the entirety of Lent, with our spiritual life and our connection with God. We have to ask ourselves, do we spend too much time focusing out there and saying, well, that guy's a sinner, I'm not like him, look at that guy, I can't believe he's doing that sort of thing. Anytime that we think in our head that we are somehow better than those of us around us, we are the people that Jesus says are seeing. That we can see out there, and we have no problem pointing our finger at somebody who's doing something wrong. But we don't have enough clarity, we don't have enough self-criticism to point inward and say, well, sure, they may have some stuff going on, but I'm not their judge. God's my judge. God will judge them. God will judge me. That's his job. My job is to focus here, to figure out what's going on in here that I can make better and that I could prepare for a better relationship with God. And that means that we're going to have to do a lot of self-reflection. And we're going to have to come up with a lot of different things that say, wow, I really need to work on that. I really need to get better at that. I need to improve my relationship. So take this this next week, really, and find an area of your life that could really use some improvement. Maybe you've upset somebody or you're having a little argument with somebody. Be the bigger person and say that you're sorry. And say, look, we've got our differences. We can be friends. We don't have to be friends. But I just want to let you know that I apologize for what I did, and I hope that you can accept that apology. You have to mend those relationships yourself. It's not going to happen magically, and you can't expect other people. You can't point outwards and expect other people to do your work for you. Find something in your life that needs improvement and act on it today. Become blind to other people's faults and start focusing on your own, and then you will really see. With that, I thank you for your time, and I hope that you have a great season of Lent.